Welcome to the Squares of the Roundtable podcast, episode number 15. I can't believe we've gotten to 15, gentlemen. With me today is Mike Boyle and Ivan Rivera. Gentlemen, I'll start with Mike. Tell us about anything interesting over the weekend. Did you what was the play on Sunday game night for you?
We didn't have a game night this Sunday. We just had, one of my friends was going out of town, so yeah, sorry, no game night. I just kind of piddled in the garage, like my dad used to say. But it was work, more like work to me. But I was in the garage most of the day. Got some stuff started, power equipment and certain vehicles just up and running and just cleaning garage, I guess. It was a nice day Sunday. So yeah, I just got chores done. We'll have more chores done next weekend. Chores done.
So much for telling us something. So much for telling us something cool. Nope, we went right.
No, nothing cool from me today.
We went to piddle and we went to
piddle.
We went to chores. Yeah.
Piddling and chores.
Yeah.
That was my weekend. Hope Ivan didn't do anything more than piddling.
No, spinning.
All right.
Did a lot of spinning on Saturday night over at the Cafe Mustache. We had two bands appear there, and then I went ahead and I did my gig, which was received by the masses, dancing and happy and drinking and having a great time. Let me see. I started at the Electric Jungle on Friday, which that was a really cool experience, and I will be partaking of being at the Electric Jungle every Tuesday night, which looking forward to that. That's going to be really cool. Some things that'll be happening in the very future within the frame of that store, so I'll keep you posted. Also, discovered through Stern Pinball that the Deadpool pinball machine is now in production.
Based on the movies?
Yes.
Okay.
Deadpool the Pinball is in production as we speak, gentlemen. So when I'm sure, I can almost be sure to tell you that, yeah, it'll probably be featured when we have the Pinball Expo in October 17th through the 20th. That's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to seeing if that comes to fruition in time. And I got a feeling it will be. And I'll be spinning in the main exhibition hall again this year, so that'll be a good time. And what else? Then this week is going to be filled with all kinds of adventures. I'll be at Electric Jungle tomorrow. I'll be out of the Satchel over at the Logan Arcade. I will be at Cafe Mustache on Thursday, Mathers on Friday, and at the Royal Palms on Saturday, and then back at the arcade on Sunday. It's going to be quite the week this week before I go out of town on the 24th for my birthday. Yay!
Yeah, you have to wear your roller skates. You're just all over the place.
Well, I'm just getting out there and just making for good. It's been a good fortune for everything that's been happening so far. So it's been cool, and so that's pretty much what my weekend was all about. Sunday did pretty much absolutely nothing. We just kind of hung around. Saturday, before I went to the Mustache, I made the mistake because I was going down. We were going down. Julie and I going down to Downers Grove, and I went to go to my friend Ovi's house to pick up my drum kit. Well, I didn't read my message, and that was scheduled for Sunday. So when we got there and when we found that Ovi wasn't home, it was like, oh boy. And then I called him up and, I'll be back later in the afternoon. So Julie and I kind of went on a romp through Downers Grove. We went to go see Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again over at the Tivoli. And I liked it. It was good. I was taken by it. I didn't think I was going to like it, but yeah, it had a kind of a charm about it. So yeah, that was okay. And we went to go eat ice cream at every day's a Sunday, which that was really nice. And then we picked up the drum kit, which is now sitting in my front room. Thank goodness. I haven't seen my drum kit in 4 years.
4 years?
Yeah, it's been a while. He's since I was with the band for a while, and then I stopped being with the band, but the kids stayed over at Ovi's house, so he kind of held on to it for me. But now he's going to rebuild his basement. He's going to make it into a rehearsal space. He's already got a kit, so he doesn't need my kit there anymore. So went ahead and got it, and I'll probably find a space for it and probably practice my snaring, my brushing and stuff. Maybe start getting out there and doing some gigs someplace. Who knows? Knows what the future may hold. But yeah, it was quite the full day on Saturday. And Sunday we didn't do much of anything. Today we didn't do much of anything either. We took our cat to the vet and then came home and just said the hell with it. We just kind of lounged around the house all day. And, it's just been kind of lazy. But, yeah, kind of good to get some rest before the week, takes flight. Because once I hit the ground running on Tuesday, it's going to be nuts. But that's okay.
What kind of nuts?
Huh?
What kind of nuts?
Who's nuts? These nuts.
Pecans? What kind of nuts?
Walnuts.
Walnuts. Okay.
I like walnuts. I like pecans, walnuts. I like cashews. Not big nuts.
I'm a honey roasted nut guy. I will admit to that.
No, I like honey roasted nuts, especially Planters honey roasted nuts. Those are good. I like macadamia nuts too.
Yeah, those are expensive though.
Well, and they only come like a couple of times out of the year. They only have them like you get this small tiny can of the honey roasted macadamias, and they're like $6 a can. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
That's nuts.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes, pretty much.
yes, it is. It is indeed nuts.
It is nuts.
Well, gentlemen, I have good news for you. Over the weekend, I got laid.
Congratulations.
Oh, congratulations.
I got laid. Some belly dancer came over. Belly dancer, no, hula dancer came over and put a lay on me, and so there you go. My aunt was, my aunt was doing a party for her apartment, her condominium complex, and so she was like, "Yeah, nothing better to do. Come on over." So they did. It was a Hawaiian themed night, and it was the guy singing a whole bunch of Hawaiian songs. And then there were three women who were doing the hula dances, but quite frankly, not nearly enough for my taste. And of course, the obligatory, we're going to get the women up here to do it, and now we're going to get the men to come up here and do it. And it was fun. I mean, it was a good time. They had they may have had about close to 75 to 100 people there for the whole building.
Dang.
But yeah, and then Sunday, I got to see, for people who are not aware, I'm a member of Windy City Professional Speakers. So I got to go out there to Oak Brook, and, there's always some interesting presentations that happen. And then the feedback sessions are incredible, allow people to grow and become better professionals. Cool. And it's always a little entertaining. And not to mention the free cookie on the way out from the Doubletree Hotel. So, all good. The next week is going to be calm before the storm for me. I am gaming on Saturday, and then Sunday I'm out. I'm actually doing a presentation at Midwest Speaking Professionals on clarity of speaking and structure. It's going to be about a 30-minute presentation. It is free. People can come on out. You can go to MidwestSpeakingProfessionals.com and check that out. And if you feel like being in the area and looking at that. And then really, the next week is the Toastmasters Convention. So it's going to be a crazy week. I think, and I know neither one of you guys are probably going to see it, but I may want to reserve some time on the next podcast to talk a little bit about the World Championship of Public Speaking and the results and kind of give you a blow-by-blow a little bit of it and some of the different presenters. So if that's okay with you, that may be happening in 2 weeks, if that's all right with you guys.
Of course. Interesting.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, So that'll happen in 2 shows. I'm real excited. I am working with somebody. I am coaching somebody who's in the semifinals who is from the Chicago area. There were 30,000 competitors worldwide. There are 106 semifinalists. Should he win his, well, I shouldn't say should. I think he will win his semifinal, and he will be on stage as one of the 10 people who is a finalist for the World Championship of Public Speaking, which is happening on Saturday the 25th. If you're interested, you can go to Toastmasters.org. I believe you can buy tickets for the World Championship. I think they're only $75, and they still might be available, so you can check that out. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a busy weekend, and then the next week is just going to be crazy. I'll see people from all over. There'll be people from all over the world here, and it's kind of going to take over the Marriott Marquis and a little bit of McCormick Place, because they're only going to get about maybe 3,000 people. The most they'll get is a little over 3,000, and that'll be for the World Championship on Saturday the 25th. For the most part, it'll stay in the twos or threes, but low, right close to that 3 level. But yeah, it should be an interesting couple of weeks. And but I did want to kind of get to something, Mike, because I want your take on this.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the news about that. It looks like Star Trek 4 is kind of having some problems, and that it looks like they might be losing. I don't know where Chris Helmsworth fits in, but apparently Chris Pine is having salary disputes with them.
Chris Hemsworth played Kirk's father in the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek. So if there's any flashbacks to that in the Kelvin timeline, that would be presumed what that's about. But Chris Pine being the Kirk in this J.J. Abrams verse, that's big news. So I don't know if they would replace him or what.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
In fairness, how Pine deserves big money. He does. He's phenomenal. I really enjoy him, and I'm surprised he hasn't gotten... Honestly, I wanted him for Han Solo. I really did.
He's got the charisma.
I thought he'd be... And I like the guy they chose. I really do. But I thought Pine would be a great Han Solo. But,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know what you do here, and in fairness, it sounds like they're getting close to a reboot anyway with all this stuff, so maybe it's time to reboot it again? I don't know.
Reboot the Abrams verse, whether just 3 movies in after Beyond. I heard good things about Beyond and bad things about the second one. Was it Star Trek, the second one, Into Darkness?
Yeah. The numbers for Into Darkness were far superior to the ones for Star Trek Beyond, though. And the numbers, and I think that's where the headache is that Pine deserves probably the money, but the numbers for this franchise are not bearing it out at the moment. So I don't know how you get past the impasse here. I don't know. I find it interesting because they seem to get it at times. Like the first movie was just really, really great, and the next two have kind of not been so great. It's like, where did we lose out on figuring out how to write a Star Trek movie or something?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds for the Star Trek franchise. Next year, we'll get Discovery, and we'll get more news as it comes about the Picard series next year. So, but as far as the movieverse goes, I don't know. I'd have to be interested to get into it. Like I said, I was told not to see the second one. I haven't seen the third one yet, Star Trek Beyond. There was a misuse of Idris Elba, apparently. He was the villain, but he only had like a couple of lines in it. So, well, we'll see.
I think I saw the third one. I mean, this should speak volumes. I can't even remember. I think I saw it, but I can't remember.
Well, that's very telling.
Yeah. Versus I remember the second one, but I know why people didn't like the second one was because a lot of it was based on Earth. It wasn't based out in the stars, and it wasn't as Star Trekky, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
across the universe.
Right, across the universe, absolutely.
Still can't find reverse.
But yeah, I was just curious your take.
No, I'm okay with the Abrams verse. It's in its own thing. It's not my thing. I saw the first one. That was fine. and eventually I'll see the third one, but I'm just more invested in Discovery now. Discovery is not terrible. It has my interest, so we're going to stay in there and see what they do with Picard.
You know, I really do credit J.J. Abrams on this, which is you had a franchise that I'm not sure what you did with at this point when he originally took the helm for the Star Trek movie, the original Star Trek movie that he did, because all those people are aging. You had run your course with the Next Generation stuff. The most logical thing was to either to move forward with an entirely new group that nobody had ever known or heard of, or you could do what he did, which is, you know what? Everybody loves Captain Kirk. Everybody loves these characters. Let's bring the Next Generation in. And it begs the question to me, I thought this might be a good idea to do with Star Wars at some point, too. It's kind of why I didn't have as much of a problem with Solo as everybody else did, which is at some point, what if you brought these characters back and did different stories without having to use the main people and recasting them?
I'll just tell new stories. It's a big galaxy.
Right. Right. You know, that to me was an interesting idea. You know, you could do something like that, but I don't know. Star Wars has got its own issues. Although I did hear, I don't know if you caught, I guess there's some details to the TV series for the Disney Pay channel that's coming out. That they're talking about setting the movie between episodes 6 and 7, and that it's going to be based on the planet of Mandalore. And for people who aren't as familiar, that is the planet that technically Boba Fett's armor comes from, which is Mandalorian battle armor, is what you see Boba Fett wearing, and what Jango Fett wears. So this could be interesting to see where they go with this. Mandalore is a lot of tribes and based in that direction. I'm curious to see where they go with it.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of Rebels where they touch upon that a little with the character Sabine, because she wears the Mandalorian helmet. So we'll see. I do like the idea that there's a lot of world building to do between Jedi and The Force Awakens. A lot of good stories to tell in there as to the final throes of the Galactic Empire and why we find the Star Destroyer and the big battle that took place on Jakku that caused all that.
Yeah, there's a lot of pieces. I'm curious what Episode 9 brings us. We may get answers to some of that. I don't know. I think we're going to have to wait to see what happens with Episode 9 before we even look further with that. But yeah, you're right. The episodes between 6 and 7 are fertile ground, and it makes the most sense that that's an area that you can use and play with. I'm just curious to see what we get in the future once we get past Episode 9. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting timing for both franchises. Star Wars is more popular, but it's having its issues. Star Trek has had its issues for a while. But it seems like they figured out the TV aspect. I don't know about the movies. And that's unfortunate because, like I said, I think I like the new cast. I like a lot of the new cast. I just don't think the material that they've given them has been very good.
It's funny that the inverse is true of the other. Like Star Wars always did movies. And Star Trek was mostly TV episodes, and a handful of the series of movies were good. We agree that 2 and 4 were most popular.
Right, well, it was always the Star Trek even movies are good, Star Trek odd movies are bad. There was always that. So,
yeah.
I always liked Undiscovered Country. I thought that was a good one too.
It was all right. I remember taking my friends to see the premiere of Star Trek V. Oh my goodness. I was apologizing to them all the way home in the car.
Yeah, that was bad. I would have rather watch Ford Fairlane, Mike. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Ivan, are you alive over
Is he vacuuming or what are you doing, Ivan?
I don't know.
No, I'm just listening. I'm paying attention.
Okay, we're catching a lot of ambient noise in your room.
It sounds like you're taping the cat or something.
No, the cat's scratching the post behind me.
Okay.
So he's got cat scratch fever.
Yeah, he does.
Did you see Weird Al is going to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
Yes, that is happening soon. That's great. Congratulations to Al.
I guess it was crowdfunded too.
Yeah, that's how that has to work. I think we talked about this, I think, before, as to how the stars had funded, and then I thought that if they wanted to star on the Walk of Fame, that they had to contribute in order for that star to happen. It's kind of like the same deal, like with the Oscars or the Grammys or everything. I mean, those aren't bestowed upon the people that win them. They actually purchase those. And speaking of Oscars...
Yeah, we should talk about this.
Yeah, we should. The Oscars are getting shorter, for one thing. Because the ratings are so bad.
Well, that's because it doesn't have the relevance it once had. Every year it gets shorter and shorter and shorter. A lot of the award ceremonies are now...
the show's been getting longer, Ivan.
Yeah, the show's been getting longer, Ivan.
The awards ceremony.
But the awards, for the categories, they seem to be doing more and more off camera than they are doing on camera, and it's becoming more spectacle than actual award.
Well, but there should be more awards for off camera than on camera.
This is an award show, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think, to me, that's part of it. I mean, this is kind of like the Grammys. And maybe that's the answer, is the Grammys have their second day where everything that isn't considered a sexy category gets put on that second day, and then they show you highlights. Maybe that's the way to go. Like, no one's interested in the guy who mixed the best sound as much as that's an important aspect.
Best performance by a banjo, duet, or group while having your hands tied behind your back on a country record on a Thursday.
Yeah. So, I mean, that may be one option. Yeah, they definitely need to do something to make it more fun, but they've tried a lot of things. They've tried a lot of different ideas.
Well, including people that have emceed the show over the last few years.
Right.
Who was your favorite MC up to this point?
Remember, I think Steve Martin, did it one year.
Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane, the one year Seth MacFarlane did it, he was funny. You could tell he was trashed by the end of the show. He was drunk off his ass. It was funny.
I know he got universally panned, but I like the year Letterman did it. I enjoyed Letterman's take on it, but who was last year? Was it Jimmy Kimmel?
I think it was Kimmel, yeah. And then the past year, like Billy Crystal did it many years.
Right, Billy Crystal's like up there with like Bob, well, not Bob Hope, but
he's one of the better ones I remember from the Oscars hosting.
All right.
It was the one year that Tina Fey and what's the blonde chick? Oh, the two from SNL, the two girls from SNL. I just remember Tina Fey and the other one, the one from Parks and Rec. Anyway,
Amy Poehler, right?
Yes, that's it. But the Oscars are getting shorter, and they've added a category.
Yeah.
What category is this?
It is the category for the most popular movie of the year.
Oh, God. I forgot. It's funny. I was looking at... Variety had the last 13 years of hosts.
Yeah.
I had forgotten about... we should all forget about the fact that Anne Hathaway and James Franco were hosts one year. That was...
Oh, yeah. I heard that. Remember, that was a train wreck.
Yeah. Neil Patrick Harris?
And then who's the one that got the wrong envelope one year? Who was that?
Oh, no, but that was
just the Best Picture category at the very end of the show. There was Annette Bening, I think. Was it Richard Gere?
Was it Richard? No, it wasn't Richard Gere.
Oh, somebody...
Because it was La La... They announced it for La La Land, right?
Right, yeah, and then it was another one. Yeah, the big gaffe. That was the Steve Harvey meme, because he had was it the Miss America pageant or something like that, where Steve Harvey had hosted or something.
Hold on. Warren Beatty.
Warren Beatty, okay.
Warren
That's close, not Richard Gere. It's kind of the same.
I don't know. Steve Harvey, I don't know, not a fan.
I enjoy him on The Feud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like it says, like I want to say that, I mean, when he had the Steve Harvey show, I mean, that was okay. But then as soon as he started, splintering off in all these different game shows and all these different other kind of shows, he kind of comes to me like he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Well, he's got to keep charisma about him. He's got to stay in control.
Yeah, but then you remember that the big stink that got put out there in the internet world about a in-house memo that got around about not wanting to be bothered or not wanting to be talked to or not wanting to be approached.
Yeah, that was on his way out of Chicago.
Yeah, it was just one. We all have bad days. We all are sick and tired of being in the public eye. For those but
that was more, towards the people that he worked with. That wasn't actually geared towards his fans. It was geared towards the people that worked with him.
Oh.
And you would figure that these are people that are responsible for making your machine run and making sure that things happen for you. I mean, these are the people you depend on, and then all of a sudden you're leaving Chicago and you're giving them the high FU to them, as you're going out the door because, now I'm going to greener pastures. I don't have to think of you guys anymore, so don't bother me.
Oh, someone once said, be nice to the people you meet on the way up because you're going to meet the same people on the way down. Yeah. So what about this category they've created now for the Oscars for most popular film? I don't know if this will be solely based on box office receipts, but that means if it does, next year the film is going to Black Panther.
Yeah,
And now we're back to technology.
Well, this.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah.
Well, simple. It all comes down to all the numbers, all the tickets that got sold, all of this got sold, all of that got sold. Unlike being based upon popular sensibilities.
Well, it's about what's popular, what sells the most tickets at the box office, what's the people like it. I mean, last I checked, Black Panther had a pretty good write-up for the most part.
It did. Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, this has been a long time coming, to be honest. This is.
But then, what's the difference between the movie of the year and the most popular movie? Where is the difference then?
The Oscars are voted in by Academy members, whereas in, like, say, the AMAs or the Billboard Awards, those are based on airplay and record sales.
No,
this movie is going to be based on ticket sales, this category.
No, I don't think it's going to be based on ticket sales, is it? I still think they're going to vote.
That's what I'm trying to understand here, because...
But if the movie's popular, why do you have to vote for it?
Because your
brain...
Well, isn't that how it's always been done with the Oscars?
Well,
No.
this goes to that, like I said, something that's been the problem for a while now, which is that and by the way, one of the reasons why people aren't watching the Oscars, in my opinion, is when you're watching the Oscars and you're sitting there going, I don't know that movie. 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 After a while it gets repetitive where you're like, no, I don't know any of these movies. I don't know any of these movies because these were all the movies that these Academy people watched that are all these... There's a disconnect between what sells in the box office right now and what's popular with Academy voters.
Yeah, has been that way for years.
You got to keep in mind too, a lot more independent films are getting produced out there now that have gone into the mainstream. It's not that the 20th Century Foxes and the MGMs and the Columbias and the Warner Brothers have the stranglehold on the industry anymore. You have all of these different independent filmmakers. You got the Sundance festivals. You got IFC. You have all of these different festivals that are presenting these independent films.
Okay.
That rather they run them on limited screens or rather they are the demographic for these movies are being released into that demographic and maybe only those type of people know about this movie. Or you get the situation where you get things that, like anything else, you'll get a movie independent or mainstream that only runs for a week and then it drops right out of sight.
Okay, so there's that. But at the same time, like for example, this past, I'm trying, see, this is a perfect example. I'm trying to remember what were the Oscar-nominated films for 2017?
It's 3 Billboards over Madison County or something like that. The bridges of Madison County.
The bridges of Madison County?
No, the 3 Billboards over Ebbing, Missouri.
Yeah.
That was one of them. The Fishman movie.
Okay, here, hold on.
Are you talking about
Shape of Water?
Yeah, The Shape of Water.
See, but this is what we're talking about. Here's a perfect example of this, okay? I've got them here, okay? Here it is. Hold on. Best Picture nominees. Best Picture nominees were Call Me By Your Name, Darkest Hour, Dunkirk, Get Out, Lady Bird, Phantom Thread, The Post, Shape of Water, 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Well, I've seen The Post, and I've seen The Shape of Water.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
I saw 3 billboards.
I saw 3 billboards. I've seen The Post.
What was Darkest Hour about? What was that about?
Darkest Hour is a Winston Churchill movie. It's Gary.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Gary Oldman, yeah.
And of these movies that are listed here.
Oh, they did see Dunkirk.
The only one that had a little bit of popularism to it would be Dunkirk, and I don't remember Dunkirk doing that well at the box office either.
That was one of those movies that stayed a week and then dropped.
No, it stayed a little more than a week, but it didn't
go up by me then.
It didn't stay long. But the point I'm getting at is I'm looking at at these films, and these weren't exactly. There isn't anything here that made you sit there and go, okay, I totally need to go watch this. This goes back to this is for the people who really want to watch film, who are looking for those drama pieces and along those lines. And to me, I don't know, right now, where the cost is to go see a movie, do I really want to watch these now and pay the prices that we pay? Or do I want to wait till when it comes on demand, or on DVR or Netflix in about 2-3 months after the Oscar season, and then I can watch these for a lot lesser price.
Well, the common mentality is that they put these out at the end of the year, right before the deadline, where the Oscars are nominated for that year. And then by the time they're out on DVD, that's the awards season. That's the peak season where all these come out because they've had their run in the theater, and then they start pressing the discs. But now with everything being super fast streaming, where you'll get a movie that's 3 weeks streaming before the DVD's in the store.
Sometimes, but other times what ends up happening is that these movies end up sitting around until sometime in February. And by the way, this is why, these movies hang around for a bit because there's really not much. This is what kind of is there in January. It kind of lingers for parts of February, and this is why movies like Black Panther do well in February, is because really in reality, by that point, people are like, please give me something I can watch. Or something I want to watch.
Or the same thing, 3 years ago when Deadpool came out in February.
Right. Exactly. Or even 20 years ago when Jim Carrey used to do a lot of his comedies and they would come out in February and dominate.
Yeah.
But to your question, Ivan, the reason why they're doing this is because, and I don't think it's just a Black Panther thing, and there's a lot of people out there that are making this is how they deal with the Black Panther problem, or what they think is going to be a Black Panther problem, which is, we'll have this other category. I think they're doing this other category because this is how you keep people watching. At least
so basically, this is just another hook to bring you back.
Yeah, shaking things up a little does help the status quo sometimes.
I mean, seriously, there have been some movies over the last few years that I sat there and I said, well, why wasn't that an Oscar? Why wasn't that looked at for the Oscars? And they were commercially viable. Like, for example, Greatest Showman came out last December, and it wasn't considered for any possibility for a Best Actor, or there wasn't anything for Best Picture. A couple years ago was Creed. I thought Creed was phenomenal.
Creed was amazing.
Nod.
I love that movie.
Right, and I thought they should have at least gotten a nod for Best Picture. I don't know that they should have won, but I thought they should have gotten a nod for it.
I think Stallone was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but that's it. Well, he won the Golden Globe.
Right, but I don't think he was nominated for
Best Supporting Actor for Oscar.
Yeah, did he not get that? I mean,
I don't remember.
Yeah, see, this is that part where I think this is the part too, where here we are struggling about did Stallone get nominated for this or that, or it used to be everybody knew this stuff, and now everybody's like, I don't remember. And the reason we don't, I could be wrong, but to me, the reason why we don't remember is because it just isn't memorable anymore.
It's like in the late 90s, like when Titanic came out, that won a bunch of Oscars, and then 2000, Gladiator came out, and that won a bunch of awards. Those movies are gone.
Yeah, that's or whatchamacallit, the last Lord of the Rings movie when it basically pretty much swept through.
Yeah.
That isn't. Those are few and far between now. We're not getting that, and I think that's part of it is part of it. And I'm going to take this a step further. I think the Academy is doing this, and people are like, oh, this is to make sure Black Panther gets nominated. And to me, my comment on that is very simple. Well, then you need to look at the voters. And what that says to me is that the voters are not looking at a movie like Black Panther because they're busy picking their, as Ivan said, their independents or their little favorites, or, Scorsese came out with a new movie and we like Scorsese, or, Meryl Streep's in a new movie and we love Meryl Streep. Don't get me wrong, I love Meryl Streep too, but again,
But does it make for the relevant vote? That's the thing. I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, I mean, because here it is. You get a bunch of people in the Neris or and they're all in their little room and they're all doing their stuff on their little screen and they're busy doing their little research papers and such, and their little voting situation. I think personally, Oscar, just like some of the other award shows, would find merit if it was more a public voting forum than a 100 people think that this should be the movie.
Well, then make that the People's Choice Award, and that already exists.
Well, yeah, but the people, but I'm saying, don't you think that maybe we're talking about, things being shook up, things being changed up. Do you think maybe the Oscars and the rest of them might benefit for such a forum?
I don't
know if it'll benefit it, but it's going to make it different from what the Oscars already are, and that's how they voted for how many years? 75 years? 76 years?
Right. But what makes the thing that we've been doing for 75 years still the right thing? Same with the Grammy. Grammy's been around since, 1958? So.
No, is it that short? Really?
Yeah. It hasn't been around that long. So that's what I'm trying to say, that 100 people don't always have the best idea.
Or however, how many Academy members are that vote for these movies.
Exactly.
And we don't hear the ones that are, well, we do because they're nominated, but they don't win. And the Oscar goes to, and they can't even say the winner.
No, they can't.
What's the matter with them? That's what they need to do. Call them winners again. You know what? Those other 4, they're losers. This one's the winner. Let's congratulate the winner. And you get them up on the stage and say, "Yay, I won, thank you." That's what their problem is.
You think
they don't even want to admit to calling themselves winners.
Well, that's because they're trying not to bruise the psyche of the losers. You know?
I don't think that's the problem at all. I think the problem is when you're watching the red carpet for the Oscars and you see Scarlett Johansson and you see Chris Evans, or you see Chris Pratt, or you see Anne Hathaway, or some of these people, and they're the biggest movie stars on the planet, and some of them are the best actors and actresses out there, and yet none of them are, and yet they're not in the movies that are out there for Best Picture. That's a head scratcher to a lot of people.
Gesundheit.
Dankeschön. So here it is. These people, they show up on the red carpet, and the vast majority of them aren't in the movies, or they haven't done a movie in years. Here's an opportunity for them to model the latest fashion statement, or just to be out there and rub noses with the media, just so that they can keep their faces out there, with a movie deal or without a movie deal. How does that make anything relevant?
Well, being at the Oscars means that you're somebody. And that's pretty much...
Even though you don't have a movie going on.
Yeah. Well, but Ivan, this goes back to the part where why they're not getting people to watch the Oscars, to me, is okay, the people, yes, you've got the stars there, but they're the current stars of today. A lot of them are not, like, for example, here, just to give you an example, okay? Here's who the actresses were for actress in a leading role, okay? Sally Hawkins for Shape of Water. She might have been great. I've never heard of her, okay? Have either of you?
No.
Okay. No. Frances McDormand, who won for 3 Billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri, and she was fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's a great actress, but is she a superstar?
No, I don't know if she was up for Fargo. Did she win for Fargo?
I don't remember if she won for Fargo or not. But like I said, she's done great movies.
Yeah.
But, put this in perspective. Like, for example, here's another nominee. Here, of the people in this category, here's another nominee. Margot Robbie, okay? Margot Robbie, this is right, for I, Tonya. But this is right after she did Suicide Squad, and she's very, very popular at the moment, okay? That's not to say that these people aren't popular, but her star is a little bit more shiny than some of the others. Like, for example, Meryl Streep, here again for the Post. Not saying that Meryl Streep didn't do a great job, but again, where is...
I mean, wasn't Tom Hanks in that movie too?
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom Hanks is in that movie as well. As a matter of fact, all right, okay, Best Actor kind of really summarizes this, okay? Lead actor, of them, you've got 2 guys who I've never heard of. One of them named Timothy Chalamet for Call Me By Your Name, and a guy named Daniel Kaluuya for I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, for Get Out. And then it's Daniel Day-Lewis, Gary Oldman, and Denzel Washington. But those guys have been around, and I'm not saying you don't need people who haven't been around forever, and I'm not saying great actors and actresses shouldn't get an opportunity. You don't have to be a superstar. But, like, for example, what's her name? Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence a couple of years ago, when she won an Oscar, and she was what, 22? I mean, this is right after she's done Hunger Games. That's some wow factor, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, an up-and-coming star, right? Need some new blood.
Right, and I'm not saying that you should get rid of the old blood. Like, for example, Allison Janney won Best Supporting Actor, and she's phenomenal. And I loved her on West Wing, and she's still working on that CBS sitcom, that mom sitcom. But
no, I'm not saying let's do away with the old and let's bring in the new. I mean, let's bring in the new.
So, Ivan, what would you do to fix the Oscars?
Well,
that's what we're getting here to. What can we propose to make the Oscars watchable to the mainstream? Because I think that's what they're losing here.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. Yeah.
Okay, here's my take on it, and that is, one, it shouldn't have to be several hours. Okay? Two, I think something a little more clean and concise.
That's part of your first thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Something a little less cumbersome, a little less bulky. Let's just, we got this movie. Let's show up the nice little clips. Let's get the people on the stage for the awards. Boom, boom, boom. Let's get them going.
I just picture a revolving door in the middle of the stage now. You get an award. You get an award. You don't get an award. You get an award.
Well, okay. I mean, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying.
You got to speed it up. Okay.
Just speed it up a little bit, and then as far as like the relevance of the music in it, okay, if you're going to do music in a Oscar setting,
for best song or whatever.
Oh, for best song, okay. Make sure that song doesn't become something of a mission statement for the artist who's doing the song.
In most cases, I think the original artist does do the performance for their nominated song, as far as I remember. In most cases, not all of them, though.
So, but then, let's just, play the song and do the song. It doesn't have to be this over-the-top, huge, pyrotechnic, light show, laser light, the whole shebang.
But that's Hollywood.
Yeah, but they have tried. I remember there are times where they have gone low budget, like the one time Ellen DeGeneres had pizzas brought in or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
to help appeal to blue collar.
Well, yeah, but then you kind of take the glitz out of that whole thing by just making it more of a distraction than something that constitutes good television. I mean, the Oscars already has its problems, with from their master ceremonies down to how they've laid out their categories, to speeches being too long, speeches becoming political statements. And I mean, you're there for the Oscar. Talk about your movie, talk about your award, get the fuck off the stage.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
No. I know it doesn't work that way, but it should.
Well, it doesn't.
I know it doesn't, but it should, because you're there to get an award for a movie you were involved in, and that's fine. You want to talk about whatever is going on in your gray matter at the moment, or what you want to use the forum to talk about whatever movement is moving you at that moment, or however stinky a director is, or
well, I don't think they air that much.
Or whatever bourgeois thing that was happening before you got out on the stage. Nobody wants to know.
Although I do like sometimes these acceptance speeches can be pretty endearing, because when they thank all their people, their manager, their wife or husband or whatever, and their family or whatever.
And I got no drawback to that. No, I don't mind that at all.
So here's
thank the people that worked with you. Thank the people that supported you. Oh, no problem with that.
So Ivan, then what do you say to the person who gets up there, and I'm just using this as an example because this is the one I always see, which is they do the best documentary, and it's always some or foreign. I don't know why they always put the best foreign documentary up there, but they always do, and they always bring up somebody, and it's definitely some sort of cause. There's always a cause, and this person's gonna go on, and part of their thank you obviously is the part that they wanted people to be aware. There are movies out there that are even current movies that do that.
Right, and I understand
it's a
that you guys got documentaries and you want to thank your people for the documentary, because the documentary is definitely a huge undertaking. Again, it just yes. This is the reason why I did this documentary, is because I wanted to make you aware about autism. All right, I get it, but again, it just certain things should happen at certain times, and certain things that need to be said need to happen at certain
but they use their acceptance speech to promote their whatever, not promote, but to understand the plight as to why they did the film.
Well, in that respect, I'll give it to them. I'll give them that.
There are enough people who get annoyed by that. There's enough people who just get annoyed by that, but
Right, but
so Jeff, what would you do to fix the Oscars?
What would you do?
Well, I think the headache is that you're trying to put on a show that is not conducive to what television does. You're doing an award show that, quite frankly, has stopped being entertaining, and that's part of the problem, in my opinion, is that it's not the Grammys at least get away with the fact that they've got music to go to,
and it's only a 3-minute song and not a 2-hour movie that they
exactly. So
what is stopping the Oscars from being entertaining, in your opinion?
Well, what's stopping the Oscars from being entertaining, in my opinion, is I think what they're trying to fix, which is when the stars, it's kind of like having an all-star game and not having the biggest names of your biggest all-stars there. It'd be like having an all-star game in the 90s and not having Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, and Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, it's really kind of that simple. You don't have those guys. It's not how many people are watching the All-Star game. And perfect example. Okay, over the weekend, Tiger Woods took second in the PGA Championship. Okay, more people watched because Tiger Woods was in the hunt and he could have won. Okay, when Tiger Woods isn't watching, the numbers drop. Same thing with the Oscar awards. If there's people that people want to see and want to see win. Like, for example, we talked about Sylvester Stallone, okay, and when he did the Creed movie, and Mike and I sat there and said, okay, we think he got nominated for a Golden Globe, but we're not sure about an Oscar. But there's an example of somebody where people are like, I'm rooting for Sylvester Stallone. He really, he gave a great performance. He's been around forever, all that kind of stuff. That's where you get some of that stuff, and I think we're losing some of it. In terms of what I would do, I think what I would do is I would cut most of the categories down. I would keep some of the entertainment aspects a little bit more, and like I said, I would cut categories down. I would cut down some of the basics to the basic ones that people are going to find recognizable and see. And Academy people would be pissed, because that means that practically nobody's on the show. But I would cut it down and try to get it into, where it's, okay, you do the in memorandum, and that's a thing. And you do, the music, and that's a thing. And you have whoever it is do their bits, and that's a thing. And then you do the basic big ones. I mean, at the end of the day, how many people really care about the cinematography? And it's great. But at the end of the day, who cares about who won cinematography? At the end of the day, it's about the big categories. The big categories is best song, best director, the two male acting categories, the two female acting categories, and best picture. And now that they have the best, and by the way, I didn't hear this much complaining when they decided that they were going to do a best animated film. I didn't hear any complaining about this when that happened, but I'm hearing complaining about this. But really, in reality, those are the categories I keep, and the rest goes to the other day, or to highlights.
All right. Well, I can agree with you there.
Is there a best animated film and then their best animated short?
I think there is. I think there's both.
There is.
Yeah, and then they've had like best short film or
right.
Best documentary, best short film.
Right. At one point, didn't Thriller qualify for best short film in the 80s?
I think maybe it did. When was it 82, 83?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I think it was up for best short film.
Let's go a different direction with this. Based on what we've seen, in fairness, we still got a lot of year left, but based on what we've seen, if you were going to put together five movies for best popular film, what are the five right now?
Marvel. Marvel and Disney.
Is it?
You look at the top five, I mean, it's Infinity War and Black Panther are at the top.
Okay, so Infinity War.
I'm going to say highest grossing.
Infinity War, Black Panther, and then...
I think Incredibles 2, I think.
Incredibles 2, yeah.
And,
no, but that'll probably be best animated, I bet.
Jurassic World.
I bet what about Mission Impossible 6? I bet that would go, because they're
it hasn't been out long enough yet. I'm not sure if it's high up there on the...
Yeah, but I don't know that they're doing it based on that. I think they're doing it... I don't know. I don't know what the criteria is for this. That's part of the problem.
Right. You know, what constitutes popularity? You
know, I would imagine, depending on how things go, maybe Aquaman later in the year.
Maybe.
You know, I'm trying to think of what are the big movies coming out. Hold on. What are the big movies coming out later in the year? I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
The Freddie Mercury movie, that's going to be big. I think Creed 2.
So it's really funny. That could be an interesting whole thing right there. Is the Freddie Mercury movie could transcend and end up going into a regular Best Picture thing. See, that's the interesting part too. Is some of these movies might fall in differently than. Hold on, I'm just looking. I'm just looking to see if there's names that we're missing. That we were missing. We're not. We didn't think about it, but Mamma Mia, here we go again. Wouldn't
that constitute best musical?
There is no best musical.
Okay.
There is no best musical. Ivan keeps talking about the Happy Time Murders, but I don't know that it'll.
Yeah, I think the Golden Globes are split up that way. It's the best musical or best comedy.
Do something weird like that too.
Yeah.
I'm looking to see what's out there in October. Okay, Venom. Venom's out there in October. I forgot about Venom.
Still don't know about Venom.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm throwing out names.
Okay, well then there's Won't You Be My Neighbor.
That's already been out.
Documentary. That'll go documentary. Creed 2. Creed 2 is coming out at Thanksgiving, and Aquaman hits. So there's that. Those are possibilities, and that could be the case. Oh, and there's the Harry Potter prequel movie. It's funny because Mike, you've seen it. A lot of the articles are on how this is because of Black Panther. I don't think it is. I think this was a long time coming, but yeah, I can see how people would have that argument.
The Oscars in years past, by some people, have been criticized for being too white.
Yep.
Well,
I think that's where that might stem from.
And I know a few years ago there was a big firestorm in the media about that.
Yeah. Right. Well, again, you know,
it all comes down to the whole recognition, and I know that Halle Berry, you know, made her voice known about the whole, you know, my black sisters being in film and all this other stuff.
Yeah, I remember she for Monsters Ball.
Monsters Ball, see? And
she had a great scene in that.
Yes, you did. It was a good movie. I saw that movie. It was a great movie.
Was it? Okay. So yeah. So it's funny. Ivan, you're dead on. The Grammys were in 1958. which means it's the 60th anniversary. And that brings us to the fact that there's another anniversary that's out there, which is apparently, and this is interesting, I didn't realize the timing, the Billboard Hot 100 was apparently born the same year. And I'm not sure there's a coincidence or not, but if you're on Facebook, Billboard's been releasing, I guess, their top 600 overall, but they've been breaking them down into smaller categories. So they've been doing their top 20 or 60, depending on what your category is for their Hot 100. And just so you're aware, because I mentioned to Ivan because I saw the R&B chart, but go ahead. I in fairness, I'm trying to find the actual R&B chart that I showed you now, because for some reason I go on their site, they're not making it easy to find it. But,
okay, because the category of R&B has been changed over to urban contemporary, and also the R&B chart had an interruption between 1961 to 64 in the Billboard chart. I don't know why that happened, but it did. Mm-hmm. So this is why I kind of, the best 20 R&B songs, this is why I'm thinking maybe they mean more like the best 20 urban contemporary songs, because most of the stuff that makes up the newer chart is more urban contemporary than per se rhythm and blues, because rhythm and blues is a much older term. In fact, it came to prominence in the 1940s. It was a term that took over the name race music, which was also on, the American charts for the longest time. Because there were charts before the Billboard charts. But that goes into different categories back in the day where jukeboxes were counted into the tally of, record sales, and in addition to radio plays, and in addition to sales from the register, excuse me. But so this is why when I saw that little blip, on my telephone earlier, I'll give it to Marvin Gaye. Because Marvin Gaye was around that time when rhythm and blues was indeed rhythm and blues, soul music, which is a subcategory of rhythm and blues, which of course was just as relevant within the musical time and place. Okay, mm-hmm. So as far as this thing goes, I could give you my 20 rhythm and blues evergreens if you care.
So here's the thing. The reason I wanted you to look at it and why I thought it was fascinating was because it's based on chart. So the description that they're giving is this, which is the Billboard 100 ranking is based on a weekly performance of the Hot 100 from its August 4th, 1958 inception through July 21st, 2018. All songs are ranked based on an inverse point system, with cumulative weeks at number 1 earning the greatest value and weeks at lower spots earning least. Due to changes in the here they even talk about it. Due to changes in the chart methodology over the years, eras were weighted differently to account for chart turnover rates over various periods. The artists are then ranked based on a formula blending performance, as outlined above, of all their Hot 100 chart entries.
We're going to have to use math.
Yeah, well, we could do.
All right. Okay, so I guess maybe what I did here, writing all this stuff down, was I guess I wanted to give a definitive.
Go for it.
A definitive interpretation of what rhythm and blues really is. Okay, and like I said, rhythm and blues started in 1940, And the first evidence of rhythm and blues came from a orchestra by the name of Erskine Hawkins, a song called After Hours, with Avery Parrish on the piano, which by many was considered the first rhythm and blues recording. Followed by Cecil Gant, who was known as the Private Sensation, and a wonderful song that has been recorded hundreds of times over the last 5 or 6 decades, a song called I Wonder. In fact, it was Cecil Gant that also inspired another gentleman by the name of Nat King Cole to create the type of music. But Cecil Gant's interpretation of music is more rhythm and blues than it is jazz music. Lil Green, In the Dark, which her blending of her vocals against a almost definitely blues sensibility, but yet her vocalism shaded it with more of a rhythm feel to the music and made the interpretation one that everyone goes to when it comes to that particular song. It's also known as Romance in the Dark. Okay, we go on with Buddy Johnson, and that's the stuff you gotta watch. Here we got rhythm and blues becoming more urban as time goes on from the 1940s into the 1950s. And here we got started getting into the regional part of it. We go to New Orleans. We start getting artists like Tommy Ridgely, Jam Up, which presents instruments in their respective place, saxophones, pounding pianos, throbbing drums, and high octane rhythms that really amp up the whole sensibility and created saxophone players which were later to be named honkers and bar walkers in the rhythm and blues field. Guitar players, we got T-Bone Walker. T-Bone Walker, basically, if you see Jimi Hendrix doing all of his tricks by playing behind his back and with his teeth, okay, the origin of that came from T-Bone Walker because he did that while doing the splits and doing a number of things. A stellar guitar player and showman. And, of course, the ideal cut for that example would be Two Bones and a Pick. Joe Liggins going to the West Coast, the West Coast rhythm and blues scene, Dolphin Records, and playing to bands like Joe Liggins and the Honey Dripper, which the name Honey Dripper ended up becoming a name for another band who made Rockin' at Midnight, made up of Jimmy and all the rest of the band members from the different later rock bands. And they did let me see, they did the one song, I'm trying to think. Do you remember when we met?
No, well, yeah, it was that day that we were at the radio station. That's the day we met.
Yep. So okay. All right, the Honey Drippers, and of course the Honey Drippers, they made, they became a modern band and made modern tunes. They did a 5-song EP, big hits there. We got a guy who brought all of the New Orleans music to Chicago, Paul Gayton, Nervous Boogie, piano player extraordinaire, guitar extraordinaire Jody Williams, who worked with Bo Diddley, who worked with Chuck Berry, who worked with Muddy Waters. His pinnacle record was called Lucky Lou. Rocking Good Way, which was done by Dinah Washington and Brooke Benton. Well, before them, you had Priscilla Bowman and the Dells in the mid-1950s doing Rocking Good Way. Okay, you want to talk rhythm and blues? All the work that happened with Sam Cooke, which he was the turning point of rhythm and blues becoming soul music, all the way from his beginnings in the Soulsters to the very last record he made before he was murdered in 1963. So from 51 to 63, there was that changing of the sound from within the rhythm and blues circles. Chicago, Dee Clark, who of course followed Sam Cooke in many respects, who made a body of work, but yet is only known for one song, which is kind of a shame. but, which was Raindrops. Okay, here's one to take you. Here we got the females. Got to name a few of them. Della Reese. You're thinking, okay, Touched by an Angel. No, before that she had a very illustrious and very stellar career in...
Yeah, she got her pinky toe shot off.
Well, she also went ahead and made hit records in 6 different genres. So it's amazing, that so little of her is known about that. And one of her genres, which produced a number of great records, was rhythm and blues, a song done on ABC called The South Side of Chicago. Mary Wells, the first lady of Motown. Okay, Sharon Ridgely, who 4-octave range predates Mariah Carey by almost 20 plus years. Everybody talks about Dionne Warwick. Well, Dee Dee Warwick, her sister, had a number of great records before Dionne even went out there and did anything. She had the first version of You're No Good. Okay, Marvin Gaye is probably the only name here that I got from the original list because, yes, Marvin Gaye, we're talking about Motown. We're talking about one of the men, the big men of Motown. We could go on to the other men of Motown, the Temptations and the Miracles and all of that. But that's an entire category all on its own.
But it still charted on the R&B charts.
Yes, they did, along with Jackie Wilson. Okay, along with Tyrone Davis here in Chicago, along with Aaron Neville, who even up into the 1980s, when rhythm and blues and soul transcended and became the urban contemporary, which is most of what happens now.
Well, I'm gonna slightly agree to disagree. I think that to discount anything that's happened.
I'm not discounting anybody. I'm just affirming what rhythm and blues is all about. Okay, and all of the music today, now will we call that rhythm and blues? Well, yeah, just like will we call country music today, apart from what it was back in the day, it was known as country and western music. Yeah, it's evolved. And the remnants, there are remnants of rhythm and blues in today's music. There are remnants. Now, is it as it was? No, it's not. Because any music, in order to survive, has to reinvent itself. Now, there are those who are truer to the rhythm and blue root, and there are those that they'll just tap upon it, at points. So, no, I'm not discounting any of the new artists. I'm just saying that when you talk about rhythm and blues, this is what I think about as rhythm and blues. I know there's many people out there that are going to have their own interpretation of what rhythm and blues is, but I just wanted to give a little background, a little story, a little, affirmation.
So here's the thing. I think it's interesting, though. What's interesting about that chart is, and it's interesting because I put a few of them out, and reactions have been interesting by those who've seen them, in that it turns into, well, how could this person be that high, or how could that person be that high? And it's interesting to see where it certainly, yes, it seems as though things are more weighted to today than yesterday. But I was surprised that the number one R&B song of all time is still Chubby Checkers, The Twist.
Which I totally disagree.
I'm surprised by that. I really am. That it's
I totally disagree with that.
It's not an R&B song, not per se, but it's still more of a pop song with an R&B feel to it.
With an R&B feel, exactly. See, now you're getting where I'm going with this.
So you're saying it should have been a pop song?
No, okay.
You're saying it doesn't belong on the R&B chart?
No, it doesn't. It's a dance song. Okay, it's a dance song. That would be like saying the Orlons with South Street, or Dee Dee Sharp with The Bird, or Gravy, or Mashed Potatoes. that was a genre all onto themselves at one point. Now, whether or not any of that was steeped into any real R&B, definitely left to conjecture.
But
no,
it wasn't a dance. They didn't have a dance chart. They didn't have. Well, it was on the pop charts. If I remember, the twist was
a lot of that, yes, transcended into the pop charts, because you also have to remember Chicago radio embraced everybody back then.
Well, not just Chicago. There were a lot of places that embraced. There were a lot of cities that embraced multiple genres and
genres on their list. Right? Exactly. Okay.
But to sit there and say that that's not R&B is where I take you to task, because to sit there and say, like, for example,
well, you know what? I would definitely, if I had my choice between Chubby Checker and, say, Sam Cooke, I'm going to take Sam Cooke. Okay? Because Chubby Checker, for one, he didn't originate that song. Actually,
Elvis didn't originate Blue Suede Shoes, but he got a Hot 100 song out of it. So don't delegitimize Chubby Checker because the song wasn't his.
Yeah.
No, I'm not delegitimizing it. I'm just saying that, the original version of the twist was more rhythm and blues than what Chubby Checker re-recorded it as.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. See? Now, if you're going to go ahead and put the twist up there, then where's Hank Ballard's version of it? Which is definitely rhythm and blues.
Well, but you know the answer to that question. This is about charting. This isn't about.
Well, no, I know, and that's the thing that charted. So that's the thing that got. That's the one that got all the spins and everything.
Right. I mean, trust me. I'm sure you're not thrilled. If you have your choice between Chubby Checker and what came in at number 2 all time, currently, I shouldn't say all time, but came in number 2 on the top 20 R&B for this 60th anniversary of the Hot 100 turned 60. I don't think you'd be so happy with that.
Well,
which is "We Belong Together" by Mariah Carey.
Wow.
Which okay.
I remember that was on the air for a while.
Yeah. Well, and see that's where I kind of find it interesting, is because Ivan's looking at this from the perspective of that's not R&B, and my reaction is that may be the case, but this is what the charts look like. And to me, I think it's amazing that based on the fact that looking at the charts the way they are and looking at the way the numbers are and what dominated when and how, that still Chubby Checker is at number 1 versus some of the others that are right behind him. I mean, number 3 is "Unbreak My Heart" by Tony Braxton.
Yeah.
Which is a huge song. And number 4 is Usher with Ludacris with "Yeah," which is a huge song. I don't know that I would consider that R&B. I'll admit that one.
Okay, see, this is
again.
And this is why I have to contest the tag of R&B. Now, because Mariah Carey, all right, she's got a lot of good soulful roots. She's more of a soul artist than a rhythm and blues artist in my book. Okay, so that to me should have been the case in point. Okay, as far as Ludacris and everything, that's not quite R&B. Yeah. See, so that's why it's like,
by your definition.
No, it's the part where he's talking about and I'm like, that's the song. Yeah.
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 Crunk,
yeah.
That's not the song, Ivan.
No,
that's not on their R&B chart either.
That's not the song.
That's a whole other thing. But okay, but all right. I'm not saying that I have the one size fits all sensibility here. Okay, everybody's gonna think what they want to think on it. I just wanted to throw some things in just to get you to think about it a little bit, and just to kind of like think about, rhythm and blues.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Ivan. Here's where I was curious to your take, which is, yes, a lot of what you're talking about was before the chart started. Okay, before Billboard started their chart. What's amazing to me is how much I mean, we're talking about 60 years. We're talking about since 58. And how much of this top 20 is dominated by pieces that are within the last 20 to 30 years of that 60.
Most of it is slanted in the last 10 or 20 years.
Well, not about. I wouldn't say that because
okay, with the possible exception of Tommy Edwards, it's all in the game.
Well, but hold on a second, Ivan. Boyz II Men is now. I mean, Boyz II Men's heyday was the 90s, and depending on
we're talking 94, 95, right?
Right, but depending on what part of the 90s, you're past 20 years at this point.
Okay.
You're talking about almost a quarter. You're almost talking about. Oh God, I don't want to be this old. You're talking about almost a quarter of a century. I mean, this is when I was in college. It does not shock me though that they were probably one of the most dominant ones on this chart. That's here is because when it came to R&B in the 90s, Boyz
they were the guys. I mean, no, and they. And really, okay, and as far as, Boyz II Men, I give them their proper cred. I mean, Motown Philly, I give them their pedigree. Yeah, a lot of what they do is very rhythm and blues. It's very soulful. Mm-hmm. It's very beautiful. Yeah. I would play that in an R&B set.
By the way, did you catch who the top 10 selling artists of all time in their 60 are? Did you catch this at all or no?
No, I didn't.
For males, hold on, I'm getting it now. So Marvin Gaye's at 10, Drake's at 9, which is kind of a little surprising. Rod Stewart's at 8, Prince is at 7, Usher at 6, Paul McCartney at 5.
Not the Beatles.
Not the Beatles, but this is individual.
Yeah, okay. Individual, not groups. Okay.
Michael Jackson at 4, Stevie Wonder at 3, Elvis Presley at 2. You want to take a guess who number 1 is? Want to take a guess who number 1 is?
Digital Underground, Humpty Hump.
No. I want to take a guess.
Humpty Dance is not your chance.
Puff Diddy.
No. You guys are not even in the right time frame.
Who?
Madonna?
Male artist.
Oh, male artist. Oh, okay. No, that was about male artist.
Male artist.
Frank Sinatra.
No, you're too far back. That wouldn't be the right chart.
That would be a jazz chart. That would be a pop.
Can you feel the love tonight, gentlemen?
Oh, Elton, of course. Oh, Elton.
Are you still standing?
John?
Elton John, number 1.
Yeah, he's like a candle in the wind.
Yeah, you know what? Based on the amount of chart time, I'm not. It surprised me at first, but with the amount of chart time, when you stop and think about it, it makes sense.
Well, okay. As far as chart time is concerned, yeah. Elton John, we're talking a career that started in 1968, and is still relevant today.
Yeah, my sister was in the crowd for when they recorded that live session with him and George Michael when they did Don't Let the Sun Come Down on Me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when that aired on the radio, that was super cool.
Yeah, see, that to me, that's the key. Mike brings up that, like, for example, Elton John did that one with George Michael. Elton John talked about Candle in the Wind. Candle in the Wind was the big song when Princess Di died, yeah. And that was a big deal then. So
that was also an original song, and then it was rewritten.
Right. But then to take it a step further. You've got Elton John with the Lion King, where he's got music. So between those,
Elton John doing El Dorado.
Well, no, I'm thinking more Lion King. Lion King.
Well, have you heard the music in El Dorado?
I'm just saying, in terms of chart time, it makes a lot more sense when you look at those 3 aspects, like the live piece with George Michael, when you talk, or the fact that you've got, Candle in the Wind, and you've got a Lion King soundtrack. Those are probably,
and of course we can't forget the fact that he's a great live performer too.
Right. Well, no, but I'm talking about, I'm surprised that I was initially surprised that he was at 1 in the charts. I really was, for the top male. But really, in reality, when you stop and think about it, yeah, he's been quietly dominant over some of the biggest names in the industry for a long time.
For years.
Yeah, for not years, decades.
That's what I'm saying. For years. For years. Yeah. I mean, here it is. Like I said, he started in '68. This is 2018. I mean,
yeah, that's a lot.
years.
That's years with an S.
Yeah.
That's 50 years, folks.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's why I went to decades.
Decades with an S decades has an S too.
Yes. Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's get crunk, baby.
Get Crocodile Rock.
Yeah.
Saturday night's all right for fighting. Yep.
Yeah, like I said, I just thought it was interesting. There's some. I know the one that really.
I mean, okay. I guess I don't know why Prince is down underneath, Michael Jackson. I mean, I think Prince and Michael Jackson should have been closer together.
But you're missing it. You're missing what I'm.
I get it. It's all about the chart numbers. It's all about who sold how many records. I get it. I'm just saying that in my humble opinion, I just think that Prince should be a little closer to Michael Jackson because.
But he's not.
And he's not.
But he's not. There's a reason why he's 3 places behind Michael Jackson, if you really stop and think about it.
Well, of course. I mean, who's going to top Thriller? Okay?
Well, beyond Thriller.
I mean, Michael Jackson couldn't even top Thriller.
It goes beyond Thriller. Go look at the next. I mean,
I know, and again, it just goes back to, like when we talked about Elton John. I mean, Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. I mean, their career started in '67.
Yeah, I don't know that they counted that, by the way.
Well, they should.
What was the first song that charted from the Jackson 5? Is that 70? 69?
69.
Yeah.
But I don't think, for individuals, I don't think they counted that.
Right.
Okay.
They're just talking about Michael Jackson on his own.
Okay, then we're going to 1972. Because that's when Michael Jackson started doing all of his solo work apart from the Jackson 5.
But
and he did the soundtrack. He did the lead song to a crazy movie called Ben. He started doing solo things. I mean, he even did covers of old songs like Rock and Robin.
Yeah, that's not relevant to this. Otherwise, Paul McCartney would be number 1.
Where was Paul McCartney? He was on the list.
He was on the list, but he would have been higher if they counted the Beatles' credentials.
Right. Well, the Beatles are not. I think Beatles are number 1 for group.
Yeah, obviously.
Beatles are number 1, I think, for group, and I'd have to pull that up. It's somewhere over here where I can take a look at it. I haven't seen that one come across yet, but yeah, I think Paul McCartney on his own was 5, right?
Well, Paul McCartney, he started in '70.
But that was Wings. That wasn't Paul.
Yeah.
No, because that wasn't Wings yet. Paul had 2 solo albums before he became Wings.
I think the music part to me is that who's between so basically between Prince and Michael Jackson is Usher and Paul McCartney.
That's pretty good company.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. But I think it speaks a lot to where Usher is and is going as an artist. I mean, that's just, and he's not done yet.
Yeah, and Drake's in there too.
Yeah, Drake's at 9. Drake is at 9. And in fairness, that's kind of surprising too. If you sat there and said to me, top male artists, and you were talking about rap hip hop, that's not who I'd have picked to be in the top 10.
Not in 60 years of Billboard, no.
Although in fairness, Dre and Snoop were not as mainstream on the charts as people think, and there were certain things that didn't get played. And
so you're right. You're right about that, because remember, a lot of that music was, it all goes back to more underground than it was chart action.
But in fairness, the one that makes me sit there and go a little bit is Drake over Eminem. That's interesting.
I thought Eminem had more staying power.
Well, it looks as though. Well, I mean, Drake's had a couple really big albums in the last few years, but I thought Eminem would be. I'm a little.
Well, look at what Eminem did with 8 Mile. Come on.
Right. Well, but we're not just talking about 8 Mile. I mean,
we're talking about his whole body of work.
I mean, let's put this in a different perspective. You're talking about, the original Marshall Mathers LP. Well, in fairness, what was the chart time on those? Boy, maybe that's the problem. Maybe that's the problem is that there wasn't enough chart time for some of these because Slim Shady, the Slim Shady LP only had My Name Is. That's the only thing that charted from that. It's the Marshall Mathers LP where he finally gets a few hits and really in reality he only gets 3, I think. I mean, The Way I Am.
I thought he had more.
I'm Slim Shady and Stan. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that charted off of that LP. Well, I'll look it up real fast.
Yeah, I thought he had more than that. I know I mean, the guy made some very poignant videos too.
Well, but I'm not talking. But we're talking about what charted.
I know, but I'm saying, well, yeah, the music in the video. I'm thinking, yeah, it was huge. Why isn't that being made a point of?
Well, there's artists whose popularity did not coincide with the album sales. Everybody knows who Snoop Dogg is, but he sold less albums than Paul McCartney. But I think a lot of young people might recognize Snoop Dogg more on the street more than they would Paul McCartney.
Perhaps.
It's interesting because they don't tell you. They tell you that the album charted, but they don't tell us about what
the singles that charted off that album.
What off the album charted, and it's really well. In fairness, I'm at Wikipedia, but that's the first place I went to go check. Let's try a different route for this.
You just go straight to the Billboard chart.
Well, hold on. Yeah, we could do that.
I mean, if you're going to do this, go to the source.
Let's see. Let's put in Eminem charted hits. Let's see how that goes. Oh, here. Eminem chart history, Billboard. Let's see if this helps us.
And that wouldn't be in the R&B. That'd be the rap category.
Right.
And some of that stuff has obviously bled over to the Hot 100.
Well, yeah.
So.
Let me see if I can...
Well, we're just talking category of origin. Not crossover action.
Okay, here. 60 songs, 17 top 10 hits, 5 number 1 hits.
It's a pretty big layout there.
Is that the rap chart or the Hot 100?
I'm not sure. I'll be Hot 100.
Wow.
Hot 100 by 8. So number 1 hits for Eminem. The 5 are Love the Way You Lie with Rihanna, Monster with Rihanna, yeah, Not Afraid, Lose Yourself, Crack a Bottle with Eminem with Dr. Dre and
that's the one I'm talking about. Crack a Bottle.
I can't believe that's a number 1 hit. Here, ready? Without Me was it 2? Wait, you mean to tell me I'm the Real Slim Shady did not crack to number 1?
No.
Hold on a second. Without Me, Berserk, I Need a Doctor. Well, I Need a Doctor doesn't count. Well, I guess it does, but Real Slim Shady peaked at number 4? Wow.
Yep.
It's
in the top 10, but it never made number 1.
Wait, here's the best. Hold on a second. This is really getting interesting because I haven't seen My Name Is yet. And that's really like the song that brought him over the top, and I don't even see it yet. And we're at like 23 versus, all right, let's take a look at Drake because I'm curious.
Yeah, me too.
Wow. Okay. Now we're cooking with gasoline. So Eminem has 5 number 1 hits and 17 charted top 10 hits, right?
Right.
Here's Drake. Drake has 6 number ones, 31 top 10 hits.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the difference. With 187 songs.
But he's got double the output then.
Right. Well, but that's my point, Ivan.
And Drake hasn't been out nearly as much time as
Eminem.
Right, but Drake has really put out a lot of material. Now that we're here, let's as long as we're going to play this game, let's do Michael Jackson chart history versus
Prince.
So Michael Jackson. I know we've played this game a little bit before with Michael Jackson.
Well, let's get a little bit more intense here. Find out what's going on with that.
Yeah, let's pop the hood of this Billboard car thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
Get in there.
I'm pulling up both now. And
you're on Billboard's website?
Yeah, I'm on Billboard's website. And it's being a little my net's being a little slow on this, so it doesn't make good podcasting. That's the problem.
Well, that's why it's called editing.
Is that what that is? I was trying not to do that.
Okay.
Hold on. Waiting for this to kind of... Come on. Any day now. Spinning wheel of doom. Come on, stop it now. So much for making this... I feel like I've got good internet, and it's just like, nope, we're going to be a pain.
I haven't heard any pop-ups lately, so that's good.
No, so far, so good on that.
No, there was one. We didn't catch it. There was a little. We got a little Elvis earlier. Not helpful. Okay, any day now. All right, let's try the other one. See if that helps. We can do this the other way. Okay, I think I've got it now. All right. All right, see, this is album. I don't want album. I want Hot 100. Here we go. Maybe this will bring it up.
Here we go.
The amusing part is they've got the 200 as well. So, okay, so Prince, Hot 100 history, 46 songs in the Hot 100, 19 top 10 hits, 5 number 1 hits. That's Prince. Michael Jackson, Hot 100, 51 songs. So similar amount of songs. Michael Jackson has 30 top 10 hits, 13 number 1 hits.
Okay. All right. Well, that clears up.
So that's the difference. The difference is that
how many top number 1 hits against the career total? I got it. All right.
Well, the other thing is too, and it's interesting because here's what we don't look at or what we don't talk about is the timing on some of these. Like, for example, why is it that Prince doesn't have some of these? Well, some of when Prince's stuff got released was opposite other people who were considered major stars.
And they had their one hit and then they were gone.
Well, I don't even talk about one hit, but I mean, if you look at like that time around the 80s, you're talking about Michael Jackson, you're talking about Prince, you're talking about Huey Lewis and the News, you're talking about Phil Collins, Bruce Springsteen.
I mean, 84 was such a blockbuster year for artists.
Right. I mean, there was an explosion around that time frame in that from 82
to 86.
Well, so this chart just doesn't really reflect longevity. You've got Usher and Drake in with Elvis and Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson, and it doesn't make sense.
Well, it does because they mentioned that they weight some of this, but some of this also has to do with the fact that, and again, in fairness, Elvis loses for the fact that Elvis by 58, Elvis is on the back end of his career. So really, in reality, that doesn't help anything here.
Yeah, and he had a few number ones in the past when he got past doing all the movies.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, when he went after the comeback special, when he started working in Memphis, and then pretty much the few things that happened after that.
Right,
situation.
Right. So in fairness, that's why, for example, Sinatra's not on the list. Sinatra's not on the list because by the time the Billboard 100 hits, Sinatra's done. And
Right.
in fairness, Sinatra is probably one of the top 10 artists of all time in terms of men.
One of the greatest solo artists of the 20th century.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. I would have to agree with that. Yes.
Right. So I mean, and his name doesn't show up on any of this, but it makes sense because of the chart.
How it's tabulated.
Right, and the fact that you're talking about 1958. By 58, he was kind of done. In fairness, so I mean, there's that.
Well, it was by Frank Sinatra by 58. He had all those great albums on Capitol, and then about that time, that's when he started to take command of his own production and everything. That's how he opened Reprise Records, and that's when he started taking over his own production, his own music, his own publishing and everything else. But then the Reprise catalog, is spotty at best.
Oh, hey, Ivan, you want to have fun with this?
What's
Check.
that?
You want to hear? I'm sure the country fans are screaming like bloody murder at this point.
Why?
Okay? Here's the top 10. Okay.
Okay.
Top 10 is number 10 is Islands in the Stream. This is top 20 country all time for the Billboard.
Songs or albums?
Songs.
Okay.
Songs. So Islands in the Stream is at 10, which is Kenny Rogers and Dolly Parton. 9,
Right.
And in fairness, this song was freaking everywhere. That Lady Antebellum song that about Need You Now, like at the 1:15, that whole thing. That's at 9 already.
Wow.
Lady
Antebellum, I mean, is quite the group.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just impressive. But in fairness, you couldn't go anywhere without hearing that song. 8 is something called He'll Have to Go by Jim Reeves. You probably know it better than I do.
Oh yeah, He'll Have to Go. I know Jim Reeves.
Here's the crazy. Ready? Number 7 is Big Bad John by Jimmy D.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was an iconic tune.
Was it really? I always thought. See, I remember it on the. Okay, this is going to date me. From my 8-track days when I was a kid, from the Goofy Gold soundtrack, or not soundtrack, but the Goofy Gold stuff off the TV when you used to buy it.
Yeah.
Big Bad John was on there, and it was always one of those goofy songs.
Those K-Tel records.
Yeah, K-Tel records.
Well, but in the country and western field, story songs were very common number one records. I mean, when you start thinking about El Paso with Marty Robbins, I mean, for what it was a number one song in 1960.
Here's the point here's the reason I was coming here. Old school country fans probably not happy because 6, now you start to see the change. 6 is Breathe by Faith Hill. 5 is Round Stone Cowboy by Glenn Campbell, which was a huge hit.
Yep.
4 is You're Still the One by Shania Twain.
Okay.
3 is Lady by Kenny Rogers, which makes sense.
Yep.
You Light Up My Life is number 2 by Debbie Boone.
What?
I kind of had the same reaction you did.
Oh my goodness.
Wait.
Barf.
You're gonna wait till you hear what number 1 is.
Please don't
and
be
I'm not
Taylor
discounting
Swift.
this
Please don't
artist,
be
but I'm a little surprised
Please
that
don't
this
be
is number
Taylor
1 for the last 60 years of Billboard's top 100
Please don't be Taylor
for
Swift.
country, which is How Do I Live by Leanne Rimes.
Okay, good. I was worried it was going to be Taylor Swift.
No, she's on here, but she's not in the top 10.
Not in the top 10, okay.
Not in the top 10. Thank God. My favorite was the outrage I got from people on the and I know we're playing around with this. As long as we're playing around with it this time. My favorite was the outrage on the top rock songs of all time.
Okay.
Because it's kind of I really want an understanding of what they consider rock because 20 is Foreigner, which is Waiting for a Girl Like You. 19 is Sinead O'Connor with Nothing Compares to You. 18 is The Knack with My Sharona. Abracadabra from the Steve Miller Band is 17.
Okay.
I Love Rock and Roll from Joan Jett and the Blackhearts is 16.
Okay.
Royals by Lord is 15.
Lord.
I can't stand that song. I'm sorry.
Lord.
Don't feel bad. I think it's crappy too.
Just Like Starting Over by John Lennon at 14.
Okay.
Jay Giles Band is Centerfold is at 13. Call Me from Blondie at 12.
All right.
Hold Your Hand is the Beatles at 11.
Okay.
Wait, this is the part that people get mad about. To all the people who ate Nickelback, eat this. How You Remind Me is number 10.
Wow. Wow.
All the people who hate Nickelback need to remember the fact that they bought all those albums in the early 2000s, late 90s. Another one, Bites the Dust from Queen, is at 9. Silly Love Songs by Wings is at 8.
Mm-hmm.
Ready for this? The Battle of New Orleans by Johnny Horton is at 7. Is at 7. Wait, this gets even crazier. Number 6 is Somebody That I Used to Know, that by Goyette.
No.
Yeah, that song was everywhere. I couldn't stand that song either. That was another one of those. After a while, I was like, please make it stop. 5 is The Police with Every Breath You Take. 4 is Eye of the Tiger, which makes total sense that it should be up this high.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Tonight's the Night by Rod Stewart's at 3. Hey Jude is number 2 from the Beatles. And number 1, I'm curious if you'll just give me a guess, gentlemen.
Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley in the comments.
No, wrong time frame.
Bohemian Rhapsody?
No. Think classic guitarist.
Clapton?
Nope, you're in the right vibe, but this was more of a revival time period for this artist. And in fairness, this song was everywhere.
Yeah, what is that? Layla.
No, not Layla. It's not Clapton.
Yeah.
No, not Clapton. Then I'm thinking the guy from CCR.
No, it's not. It's not the guy from CCR. It's funny because the guy who it is a '70s guy, but he kind of had a revival in the last 20 years.
Oh, Santana.
What?
Santana.
Yes. Santana with Rob.
Oh my God. Smooth?
Yeah.
Aww.
In fairness, that song was everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
That song was everywhere. And Santana is rock, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
But it's funny because people are like, where's Van Halen? Where's Aerosmith? Where's Kiss? And I'm like, I don't.
Yeah. Where's
Where's
Metallica? Where's Y&T? Where's Zebra? You know, where's Great White?
Should I take a look and see where Van Halen is on the top 100?
What are you eating, Ivan?
I'm eating salad.
Good.
Salad. You don't win friends with salad. You ever seen that episode of The Simpsons? You don't win friends with salad?
Oh, no. No, I've never seen that one.
Let's see. Hot 100, Van Halen. Wow. That explains it. Van Halen only had one top 10, only had one number 1 hit in all the history of the Hot 100.
Is that Jump?
Yeah.
Jump.
3 top 10 hits, 23 songs. That's it. No wonder why they're not here.
Wow.
What about Kiss? Is Kiss that bad too?
I thought Kiss had a lot more hit records.
I don't know. Hold on a second. Well, again, we're talking Hot 100. So,
all right.
But even so, you would think that they'd chart into the Hot 100, right?
Right. I would think so.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, I gotta be honest, this has kind of been, I didn't totally mean to go this direction. Okay, wow. Now this explains it a lot more. They've never had a number 1 hit in the history of the top 100.
Kiss?
Yeah.
What about Beth?
Beth is number 2. I'm sorry, no, Beth peaked at number 7.
Oh, boy.
Okay, they only had 2 top 10 hits all time and 24 songs to chart. Okay? Here are their top 3 Billboard 100s of all time. Beth is at 7, Forever at 8, I Was Made for Loving at 11.
I Was Made for Loving You, the pseudo-disco song?
Yeah. Rock and Roll All Night doesn't come in until 12.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we did this. All right. I'm positive, it was funny, I was having this argument online. I am positive that Aerosmith only has one number one hit?
Dream On.
The one with what's her name? From Armageddon, right?
Armageddon?
Yeah.
No, Don't Want to Miss a Thing?
Yeah, I think that's the only one they've ever had. Hold on, I'm pulling them up. I'm curious.
Yeah, songs that have charted and gone, and then they've still retained their public consciousness.
Yep, that's the one it is. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing.
Yeah.
Is their only number one hit. They've had 8 top 10 hits and 28 in the top 10. But they've only had one top 10 hit, one number one.
Wow.
I remember playing the Aerosmith Guitar Hero game on my Xbox.
Here's the crazy part, Ivan. Ready for this?
Yeah.
Their top 4 for the top 100 of all time.
Mm-hmm.
All come from that album. All come from their revival in the late 80s.
Not Love in an Elevator?
Love in an Elevator is at number 5.
Yeah.
James Got a Gun is at number 4.
Yeah.
Angel is at number 3. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing is at number 1. The first song that they have that isn't from the 80s or 90s is Dream On, and that peaked at number 6.
What about Dude Looks Like a Lady?
Yeah, I thought that was a heavy tune.
14.
Still a great song.
Now, see, here's the interesting part. I'm curious about something. I'm curious if Run DMC's Walk This Way got further
Because of Aerosmith's involvement?
Well, no, I'm curious if their version got higher than
The original version.
Oh my God, really? Wow. Okay, so the Run DMC version is their only top 10 hit, and it peaked at number 4, which is, according to this, 10 spots higher. No, wait, not 10 spots higher. Hold on a second. Yeah. No, 6 spots higher than it ever peaked for Aerosmith.
Wow.
Yeah. Like I said, that was the only reason I wanted to bring this up. I don't know we'll do this again, but this is the stuff that's crazy to me is when you look at the charts, it's like, it's fascinating to see how the charts work because, you know, like you guys said, it's like, where's this one, where's that one? Hold on. Now I'm curious, where's Metallica? But then again, we're also looking at the Hot 100.
The Master of Puppets.
That didn't.
Also looking at Hot 100, that doesn't necessarily mean
Metallica didn't chart until they got the Black Album.
Right. Well, that's why I'm curious. Now, like I said, now I'm.
You don't think the Master of Puppets did anything?
Well, it did, but it was underground. It wasn't like radio airplay, at least not on the pop music stations.
Hold on. Wow. See, this is crazy. Here's a perfect example. I don't even think do I know this song? They only had one number in the top 100 in the Hot 100. They've only had one top 10 hit and 16 songs in the top in the Hot 100 and for the top. And Enter Sandman, Until It Sleeps peaked at number 10. Enter Sandman is at 16. What were you looking for, Mike?
No, Ivan's talking about Master of Puppets, but that was before they went mainstream.
Yeah, I don't think it's.
No,
I'm looking to see. No, that's not here at all.
No, of course not.
It's all the stuff from
anything before And Justice for All, because they had that one song who won from And Justice for All, and then the next album was the Black Album, and that's where they went mainstream.
Yeah, that's really where they went over the top.
Yeah, that's when they did Unforgiven and Wherever I May Roam, and all the songs that got some airplay, like on the hard rock stations, not just the underground metal stations.
And even then, like I said, Enter Sandman, which was huge.
Yeah.
Enter Sandman, which is huge. According to this, only topped out at 16 in the Hot 100. So.
Here, how about Guns N' Roses, like November Rain?
Them. How many? Okay, so Motley Crue Hot 100. What do you think?
I don't think it's in the top.
Girls, She Goes Down. Dr. Feelgood.
Well, according to this, according to this, your All I Need peaked at 83? Wait, hold on a second. We're missing things. This isn't right. I need to go look again. This is not my beautiful house. You know.
Talking Heads?
I don't know how I got there. You know. I'm trying to. Something's wacky on this one. It doesn't want to be nice to me. Let's do Guns N' Roses instead. Oh wait, hold on.
Yeah, a lot of the hair bands in the 80s, they had popular music videos back in the day, but that didn't translate to airplay and album sales to a great degree.
Well, keep in mind, we're not looking at albums, though. Albums is a different animal.
We're doing singles.
We're doing Hot 100 singles.
Okay.
That's a different animal.
But part of the Hot 100 is the single, isn't it? Doesn't the album sale reflect on some of that in chart position?
Not necessarily. Like, for example...
No, because that would be the album chart.
Right, that's the album chart. That's different. Like, for example, when we were talking about Eminem, the first week out from the Marshall Mathers LP was almost 2 million copies.
That makes sense now as to why. In the digital age, when you've got really super-duper popular artists like Usher and Drake, single sales can go super-duper high because you can buy one song.
Yeah, but the numbers have never translated. Well, the problem is the numbers are hard to translate.
Because when you had to buy the single,
right.
Sometimes you had to buy like 2 or 4 songs on the single cassette or the CD single.
So Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
13 songs in the Hot 100, 6 top 10 hits, 1 number 1 hit.
November Rain?
No, that peaked at number 3.
Paradise City.
Paradise City peaked at 5.
Mr. Brownstone? Oh, Welcome to the Jungle.
Yeah, Welcome to the Jungle Welcome to the Jungle peaked at 7.
Mr. Brownstone?
You guys are all around it. You're right there.
Tell me what you want.
By the Spice Girls? I don't think Guns N' Roses covered that song.
No, not that one.
So tell me what you want, what you really want.
Could you imagine Axl Rose doing
No.
If you want to be my lover.
You gotta get with my friends.
Can someone explain that song? If you want to be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Really? So you want me to get with your friends?
I think she means get. You gotta be part of my crew.
You gotta get along with my friends.
Yeah, I'm
apparently.
sure that's what that meant.
Yeah.
No.
What's this Guns N' Roses song? Is it, sheesh. It's probably from...
The number 1 hit for Guns N' Roses was Sweet Child of Mine.
Sweet Child, and there we go.
There you go.
I used to love her, but I had to kill her. Yeah,
in fairness, this explains what was on the rock chart and why. This certainly explains it entirely for the Hot 100. It totally explains it why you didn't see any of those bands, because those bands never got high enough.
Well, it does clear up a lot of questions.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I said, I'm kind of glad we did it. We kind of looked at it. But
there you go.
Yeah, well, I do have one more thing for you. I thought we'd end on a fun note and watch Mike squirm. Apparently,
radio. My squirming will be unnoticeable.
Sure, it will. And I tell you that a 13-year-old pulled one over on ESPN for the Little League World Series.
I heard about this.
So at 13, so you know how they have the Little League World Series and ESPN has that on, and they like little snippets of information.
Yeah.
So the kid they asked the kid for his favorite actor, and it did get on air that the kid's favorite actor was a gentleman by the name of Johnny Sins. Now, if you've never heard of Johnny Sins, it's because he's an adult film star.
Oh my God.
And apparently, yes, I'm looking at and you can see this story on the Spurs People Podcast Facebook page, where you can see the actual listing where they put the graphic and they have favorite actor Johnny Sins, and apparently, so the kid got one by, and apparently Johnny Sins has responded that he loves the kid. No fact checking on the Little League World Series. Hope he watches my vlogs and not my porn.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
What?
Has the kid been disciplined?
Somebody at ESPN got it. It's either an intern who just got fired or somebody got fired for not catching that one.
Wow.
Well, when you've got sportscasters and they're throwing all this information and they just have to read it off to fill time between plays.
But it wasn't a read it off, Mike. It was on a graphic.
Oh, okay.
It's on a graphic.
Wow.
It's awesome.
Okay, that's not just something that somebody said accidentally on the fly.
That's like, but it's funny you say that. This is a great story. I don't know if Ivan's ever heard this one. So back when Larry King was still doing his show on CNN, there was that Kobe Bryant trial thing, and Larry King was looking for an expert to bring on the show. So he had them his offices called over to the Lakers, get Chick Hearn to come on and talk a little bit about what was going on, which would be great if Chick Hearn wasn't dead.
Oh.
It happened for a while.
Oh.
It's like that. Well, let me know if there's any change in his condition. Call me back later.
It's like that scene in Major League where it's like, this guy's dead.
Hell no.
I was going to spit out his salad.
Just for the nose. Just for the nose. I had a friend that happened to. True story.
That's not romaine lettuce.
I was in college, and he was eating coleslaw, and he was laughing so hard that he shot it through his nose, and we called him Shooter for the next 4 years.
Oh my God.
Because he was the salad shooter.
Shooting coleslaw.
Salad shooter.
He was the salad shooter.
Wow, that's crazy.
I think back in the 90s, I think I bought my mom a salad shooter for Christmas one year. Never used it, I don't think.
That was, believe it or not, that was actually a thing.
What, the salad shooter?
Thank you, Mr. Popeil.
Now, that would be really something if you had a salad shooter that does Thigh Master, too. That would be something.
So that would be a thigh shooter, then?
Yeah, thigh shooter. Now, that'd be something. If you used the Thigh Master and then it shot well, never mind. It
shot your thigh shooter.
Yeah, well, where the projectile would come from is probably not.
Okay, well.
Probably not. Probably not a good idea.
Oh my God.
That seems like a good place to end it. Mike, tell them where we can find us.
Where can you find us, man?
Right here on the interwebs. We are on Instagram and Twitter at SOTRT Podcast. Send us an email at SOTRTpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. Click that like button, subscribe. We appreciate it. And of course, we're on the YouTubes coming soon too. Podcast hosting formats near your neighborhood. So we appreciate you listening. And hey, you're on listening on the YouTubes. Give us a subscribe, hit the like button, give us a comment down below. We appreciate that as well.
Thank you so much for listening to Squares of the Round Table. I'm Jivin Ivan.
I'm Jeff Stein.
I'm Mike Boyle. We appreciate you listening to this here. We kind of went around the table. We went to the movies and why they're popular and they're dealing with popularity. And on the end verse here, we have the music. We've been talking about a big, nice discussion here about music, about the Billboard charts and where popularity lies. So,
yeah,
a discussion.
Real solid.
Very happy. I'm very happy.
Like I said, in 2 weeks, I'll do kind of a wrap up of the World Championship of Public Speaking. So,
all right.
So,
and then if I get any more news about the Deadpool pinball game, I'll see what I can wrap up there. Plus, what's happening with the Stern Pinball Expo. I'll see if I can get some information on that. And by the time this gets up on the internet format, you can catch me down at Cafe Mustache Thursday from 9 to 2, and then you'll catch me also at the Royal Palms Shuffleboard Club, 1750 North Milwaukee, from 8 to 2, playing the music to make you feel so good. So, and then of course the brand new sweet soulful music over at Logan Arcade, 2410 West Fullerton, from 1 to 5 in the 1 to 6 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I should plug real fast before we go. If you are interested, I am doing a piece on structure and clarity at Midwest Speaking Professionals, and it starts, I believe, at 6 o'clock. It's a half hour. There are other speeches that will happen that day as part of the club. It's part of a Toastmasters Professional Club. You can look up more information on MidwestSpeakingProfessionals.com in terms of location and information that way. But should be a lot of fun. Should be a good presentation.
Okay, that'll about do it. So, thanks, guys. Thanks for listening, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.
Everybody.